thing and convert it into service of Krishna, which is the Balram Tattva. Okay, so this is how we understand Balram. So when he appears in Vrindavan, there is the whole Vrindavan Dham, all the forests, everything, Barsana, everything, all the villages, everywhere where Krishna's pastimes are happening is an expansion of Balram. So sometimes when Balram and Krishna are in the forest and Mother Yashoda is waiting and she's really waiting and it's going to take a long time for Krishna to reach home. So Balram contracts the land so that he reaches quickly. And sometimes when there is a demon coming very close to Krishna, he expands the land so that the distance between the demon and Krishna increases. So very mystical. Okay, so this is very mystical to understand. So this is the role of Balram. And every time Krishna appears, Balram appears too. So another important expansion of appearance of Lord Balaram is Lakshman. Okay, in Treta Yuga, when Lord Ram arrives, it's Krishna himself, Balaram also appears. And he has the same service. When Ram gets banished, there is no need for the brother to go when you banish and the wife goes and the children goes, and that's how the principle is. But the first person to decide that he's going to go is Lakshman, right? And then there are so many pastimes in the Ramayana where you can see how Lakshman is always serving them, protecting them, never sleeping. In the 13 years of Vanvas, Lakshman never slept, never ate. You know the story of the fruits, right? Let's not talk about Lakshman right now. So that is his service constantly, everywhere, right? And then in Vaikuntha, in Dwapar Yuga, obviously he comes as Balram himself. We talked about that. Even at that time, there are many interesting pastimes that Balram exhibits. And in Kali Yuga, when Lord Chaitanya arrives, he comes as Nityananda Prabhu. Okay? So they're always coming together. And in Kali Yuga, of course, their role is very different. In the previous appearances, you can see that killing demons, so many things, are burning cities down. They do all kinds of things and are actually physically fighting the demons. Whereas in Kali Yuga, when they appear as Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu, they're actually not killing anybody. That's why they're called Patita Pavan, munificent, very merciful forms, right? Parama Karuna Pahidui Jana Nitaya Gaurachana. Parama Karuna. Very, very merciful forms. Okay? So that's how they appear together. In Vaikuntha, Balram appears as Sankarshan, yeah, So when Vishnu wants to lie down, the bed is ready. Okay, Ananta Shesha. Millions of heads constantly extolling the glories of the Lord. Never finishes the glorifying, because there's thousands of heads, right? Millions of heads. And when the Lord feels hot, the bed becomes cool. Okay, when the Lord feels cold, the bed becomes warm. So it's normal, natural air conditioning provided by Balaram. So this is how he serves. And then we have the expansions, Mahavishnu, right? The Karnodakshayi Vishnu is an expansion of Balaram. The Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, which comes in every universe, is an expansion of Balaram, right? Through his Chaturvya expansions. And Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, which is situated in every single person as Paramatma, is also an expansion of Chaturvya expansion of Balaram. So all of these expansions that we know are coming from Lord Balaram. So in different ways, Lord Balaram serves Krishna. Okay. So this is how Lord Nityananda appears as Balaram appears as Lord Nityananda in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya, and is a very specific role, very, very specific role. So how does he appear? So Lord Nityananda actually was born or appeared in a place called Ekachakra. So this is where his parents lived. The names of his parents were Hadai Pandit and Padmavati. So he's born to them, and as expected, as we see even in Krishna's pastimes, this child was very special, and everybody in Ekachakra loved him more than their own child, and nobody could explain why this is happening. And as Nityananda Prabhu grew up, he was very interested in drama and arts. Okay, so every time he used to collect the children in Ekachakra and they used to have plays, and all the plays were about the pastimes of Lord Ram, pastimes of Krishna, where Nityananda Prabhu would play always the role of Lakshman or Balaram, and they would perform all kinds of activities. So many pastimes of Lord Krishna would be enacted out. The role of, Putana, and Lakshman fainting, all of these were featured in the dramas over and over again. And then the residents of Ekachakra was like, where did you learn all of these things? How do you know all these pastimes? And he would say, what do you mean? They're my pastimes. But the residents of Ekachakra did not understand what that meant. And this is very similar to how in Vrindavan there was a Yogamaya potency of Krishna covered all the residents of Vrindavan, where they felt that Krishna is a child, Krishna is being attacked by the demons. We need to pray for Krishna. They were praying to Vishnu to protect Krishna in Vrindavan. They would perform sacrifices, right? Mother Yashoda would do like special things so that bad omen wouldn't be attached to Krishna. So like similarly in Ekachakra, people were thinking this is just a child. Yet he was performing all these wonderful activities every day. And they never realized that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself in the servitorship. So time was going by, and then he turned 12. So while he was, and Hadai Pandit was very attached to Nityananda Prabhu. He would take him everywhere with him. Everywhere he went, he would take him along with him. So when Nityananda Prabhu turned 12, there was like this one mendicant sage who was visiting Ekachakra, and he happened to come to the home of Hadai Pandit. And Hadai Pandit, being who he was, wanted to really serve him. And he said, please come to my house. I would like to serve you, Prashadam, take care of you and so on. So he said, I'll come, but I have one condition. I will ask something from you when I'm leaving. And you have to promise me that you will give whatever I ask. So Hadai Pandit said, yeah, okay. And we know this kind of thing never works well in stories, right? Well, who else said that? I will ask something and you have to give me and then you cannot say no. Vaman, right? Like Bali Maharaj didn't even know what he was, agreeing to there. But his spiritual master knew. He said, don't. This is not an ordinary personality, so don't say yes to him. But being a king and being who he is, he agrees to give whatever Raman was. Similarly, Hadai Pandit says, okay, I'll give you, please come. I would really like to serve you, because serving Vaishnavas, having them come home is considered to be a great honor and a great service, right? So he comes, and sure enough, the day he's leaving, he says, I want Nityananda. I don't want wealth, I don't want food, I don't want anything, luxuries. I want to take your son with me. So Hadai Pandit is like heartbroken. He said, nobody in Ekachakra can live without Nityananda Prabhu. So you please, let him stay here. I'll come with you. I will carry your things, I will serve you, I have no problems. But let him stay here with his mother, and I will go with you. He said, no, I don't want you to come with me. I need somebody who's young and will be able to walk with me and do everything. And so I want Nityananda Prabhu. So you tell me what you're going to do. And so obviously he has to agree to allow Nityananda Prabhu to go with this mendicant who has come, this spiritualist who has come there. But his mother is heartbroken. But Nityananda Prabhu is like, okay, I'm going, right? He wasn't a teenager yet, but yet he said that I'm going. And then his mother is like really, really upset. And then he says, okay, take this. He gives her a deity. And he says, you can serve this deity. This deity is non-different than me. But she says, no, but when I won't be able to see you. So he tells her, every time you look into the face of this deity, you will see me and my face. And so she looks into the deity, and sure enough, that was Nityananda Prabhu's face that she was seeing. And so somehow, they convince her, and she agrees to allow to let him go. And obviously, Nityananda Prabhu leaves, never to return, right? So he leaves with the sage Meanwhile, Hadai Pandit and Padmavati are heartbroken. They live the rest of their lives, missing and yearning for Nityananda Prabhu. Meanwhile, Nityananda Prabhu goes, and for the next 20 years he travels all across India. He goes to many, many different places, and meets many elevated and very advanced devotees on his way, while he's traveling through India. And at one place he meets Madhavendra Puri. Does anybody know a story of Madhavendra Puri? It's related to ISKCON Toronto. Kirchor Gopinath, right? So Madhavendra Puri is one very special devotee who Nityananda Prabhu met on the way. And Madhavendra Puri's story is that he goes to get chandan for his Gopal deity, and he travels all the way across to Puri and that area and gets the chandan. And on his way, he stops at a small place called Remuna. And there he goes and he says, wow, this kheer, there's a special kheer that is offered every night to the deity by this pujari, and it's like in 12 clay pots. And he says, I would like to have one of those pots. And he goes, oh, I'm like so fallen. Like Krishna is still eating the kheer and I'm meditating on eating the kheer even before Krishna has relished it. So he leaves the temple and goes, and he's just staying somewhere else. He's on his way back to Vrindavan with the chandan. And so at night the pujari has a dream that Gopinath comes in his dream and says, I have actually kept one pot of kheer behind the altar. You may not have realized it, but I've stolen it specially for this devotee. Go find him and hand him the pot of kheer. So that is the Kheer Chor Gopinath. So Krishna himself steals the kheer, and we celebrate that as a sweet rice festival. So when our deities came to ISKCON Toronto, there was a mix-up. Two sets of deities were ordered from India, one for Detroit and one for Toronto. And so when the deities came at the border, devotees went to pick it up. So people came from Detroit and people went from Toronto. And then they bought 2 boxes back and they took 2 boxes to Detroit. And when they opened, they realized that Krishna had been switched. So the Krishna was supposed to go to Detroit came to Toronto. And then they looked and they said, Prabhupada, this Krishna looks a little, heavy. So he says, yeah, because he is Kheer Chor Gopinath. So that's how the name was given to Krishna there. So that he's Kheer Chor Gopinath. And that's why ISKCON Toronto is called New Remuna Dham. And Bhaktivan Swami actually went to Remuna, and he was telling this story that there's a small little hotel there called Hotel Toronto. You remember? He told us the story. And in the temple of the actual Remuna, there is a picture of like New Remuna Gopinath as there. So it's like very mysterious. I don't know how that's happening. But so that is Madhavendra Puri. So he meets, and Madhavendra Puri is a very exalted devotee, continuously thinking about Krishna. And when he meets Nityananda Prabhu, they basically go crazy. And they exhibit so many different pastimes of chanting, dancing, and continuously talking about Krishna that all the disciples of Madhavendra Puri are like stunned. That how is this happening? This is our spiritual master and he's behaving like he's dancing and he's singing and like so much ecstatic symptoms. So we see this over and over again in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes where people become very enamored and very, they sing and dance and they lose consciousness of the external. So that is Madhavendra Puri. So he meets many such exalted people on his way in the 20 years that he travels. But in these 20 years that he travels, he never preaches. He does not preach to anybody. He's traveling and discussing Krishna Katha. But he's not telling them, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. 20 years, okay? And then after that, he goes to a place called Pandharpur. And there he is living in the house of a Brahmana. And there he meets Lakshmi Tirthapati. Lakshmipati Tirth. There you go. And that is the devotee who gives initiation to Madhavendra Puri as well as Nityananda Prabhu. Okay, and so from there he goes and he's still traveling. He goes north and then he lands in Vrindavan. When he gets to Vrindavan, he's just waiting. And he's waiting and waiting and waiting. And what is he waiting for? Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya is born, 12 years after Nityananda Prabhu, who's growing up in Navadvip as Nimai Pandit. And then eventually he's traveling to Gaya, and then on his way back, he meets his spiritual master, who is Ishwar Puri. And what is the connection? Ishwar Puri is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So you see, we've connected like the whole network now. So he gets initiated, and then he's heading back to Navadvip. And Lord Nityananda now knows that it's no longer Nimai Pandit. He is now Chaitanya, and now he's a devotee. So initially he was just teaching Vyakaran, right, and fighting with people on the banks of the river Ganga, discussing with so many different people about the Vyakaran aspect of the scriptures. But now he becomes a devotee, and that's when he starts manifesting the love for Godhead, and he initiates the Sankirtan movement, like spreading the holy name of Krishna in the form of the Mahamantra. And as soon as Nityananda Prabhu realizes that he's back in Navadvip, he starts traveling to Navadvip, and finally he gets to Bengal. When he goes there, he goes to a devotee's house whose name is Nandanacharya. And he says, I'm here, I want to hide. I don't want anybody to know that I have arrived here. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya starts getting dreams. He says, he's telling all his associates, like, I'm getting a dream that there is one very effulgent personality who has arrived here, and he is knocking on the doors and asking, is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Who is this personality? We need to find him. So there's like a massive hunt to look for where and who is this personality. And ultimately, eventually, they find Nityananda Prabhu hiding in the house of Nandanacharya. And so then that is the first meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda there. And when they meet, the same thing happens. They exhibit so much love of Godhead. There's crying, dancing, singing, kirtan, and like people have never seen before. They're giving hugs to each other, and finally they meet. Okay, so then Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya are now together, right? And so then he moves to Shiva's his house, and then there are many pastimes that occur while they're there. Going to the Ganga every night. There are pastimes at the ghats. There's pastimes in Srivas Angan. Then while he's living at Srinivas Acharya's house, there's like pastimes there. Yeah, Srivas Thakur, there is pastimes happening. So there are multiple pastimes that occur between Lord Chaitanya and associates, which we'll discuss for, Gaur Purnima. So one day, Lord Chaitanya calls Nityananda Prabhu, and he calls Haridas Thakur. He says, I want you to do a very special service. This is where it starts. He says, I am asking you to go to every house, knock on the door, and ask them to chant the holy name of Krishna. There's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And this was instructed to him finally in person to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and that's where he starts the preaching movement. Okay, talking to every single person that he meets, knocking on every single door, all along Navadvip. And Lord Chaitanya tells them, these people know me as Nimai Pandit. They've seen me growing up here. So it will be more effective if you do it. Okay? And Prabhupada also explains, like, as the movement grows, as they go further and further across the country, he says that If you see the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya only kind of preached to like very advanced, exalted circles of devotees, like the Mayavadi sannyasis. You know, there are so many different pastimes where he is talking to like these very exalted Mayavadi sannyasis who are like living in Banaras, so on and so forth. So Lord Chaitanya says, I want to have somebody who can go to the masses, every door, every town, every village, right? So very inclusive, like doesn't matter whether they are Brahmana or not. Whoever it is, everybody should have a chance to uh, chant the holy name. So that's why he empowers Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to go door to door and have these sankirtan. So they are going around everywhere talking to people, and people are saying like, who are these people? Like, why are they like asking us to do all of these things? Because in West Bengal, as you know, they worship Durga a lot. So they were already like involved in worshipping some form of deities like Durga and stuff. And they said like, why are they like walking around talking about Krishna? So they would like often like ignore them or say something to them. But Nityananda Prabhu never cared, because that was his service. His service is to serve Lord Chaitanya, and his service was to talk about chanting, right? And so then he would go around and keep telling people to chant irrespective of what they are saying. And then then there are so many different bhajans, which we have, that we bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. So this is what they were doing all along the track of West Bengal, right? So bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. And what was the main criteria? Aparada shunya hoy. Right? So you have to be careful to remain free of offenses. It's a very important condition, that when you chant, you can be, offensive chanting is not going to help. So even Nityananda Prabhu's that this bhajan tells that aparada shunya hoy lavo Krishna naam. Right? So be careful to remain free of offenses. Just take to the holy name of Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran. That is your real treasure. Right? So he's walking around. And then he realized, Krishna, people are not ready to accept Krishna. So what can we do? We should just tell them to chant Gauranga's name. Right? And then you have that. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaho Gauranga, Laho Gaurangero Namare. You heard that, right? Everybody hears Gauravani's tunes, right? Je jana Gauranga bhaje, se hoy mara pran re. So what is he saying? Worship Lord Gauranga. Chant Gauranga. Speak about Lord Gauranga only. If you cannot approach Krishna, leave it. Approach Gauranga, because Gauranga is no criteria, no conditions, just aparada shunya hoy. Okay? And he says, those who worship Lord Gauranga is indeed my life and soul. So that was the only thing Lord Nityananda cared, that whoever is worshipping Gauranga is dear to him. Okay? And he was known as Avaduta. He was saying that he didn't have any attachments. He was just like, this is what he did. First 20 years, 32 years, he just traveled around. Then he is only spreading the name of Krishna and Gauranga. So this was what they were doing on the streets of West Bengal, Navadvip, all day long. And in the evening they used to go back, like how the Sankirtan teams, they come back and then they report. Today we distributed this many books, this many pieces of prasadam. This was our score. We are following exactly the same model. Prabhupada's plan and Prabhupada's program is a replica of what was happening in Navadvip. Prabhupada had the same mood as Lord Nityananda. No barriers. Anybody can come to a temple and chant the name of Krishna. As long as you're chanting the name of Krishna, you're fine. Right? So all the programs that we have, like this Sunday feast, anybody can come, right? As soon as I walked in, somebody asked me, is this your first time? The only criteria is Don't offend anybody here. Come eat prasadam, chant, pure obeisances, take flowers, right? Same program that Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur were running in Navadvip. Our Sankirtan teams go out every month, every day, chanting in Yorkville, here, there, so many different places, even here. Just look at the book, don't even buy it. Look, there's a picture, this is Krishna. Appreciate. Right? Is Vaisheshika Prabhu, if you may know him, he leads Sankirtan worldwide. He says, just hit the sidewalk. Has anybody read that? You've seen that picture? So he says, don't even sell, just hit the sidewalk. Huh?
1 foot forward.
1 foot forward. So it is simple like that. So Lord Chaitanya said, just go. He is not saying that everybody should become. How many people chanted? They were not getting counts. He said, just go. So that's the same principle. Just carry the books and walk out. Let just people see. So our movement is a complete movement of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda's program. Okay, that's why we have these deities in our temples. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is what Lord Chaitanya spread. That's why we chant. And some of you may know this Hare Krishna mantra a little bit differently, where we chant the name of Ram first and then Krishna. Right? I come from Maharashtra, so we always chant Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, and then we chant. But Lord Chaitanya flipped it. So people are saying, why ISKCON people are chanting like that? I was also asked many times, why ISKCON people chant the mantra, opposite? It's not ISKCON people, they are following Lord Chaitanya. He flipped it around. Okay, because to focus on Krishna. So that's why we chanted. So this is all coming from all this stuff that we are describing. That's how it started. So every day they would come home, they would tell, and then they would go back every day. And one day they're walking around and they see these two huge people who are drunkards, malechas, the hair is grown, and they look very dirty and they are very, very toxic. That's the word we use these days, right? Toxic. And then they say, who are these people? And they ask the someone, like the passerby, they said, these are two people you don't even want to know about them. And even if somebody enters their shadow, they go running to the Ganga to remove their sins. Must be nice, no? To live near the Ganga. That every time you do some sinful activity, just run to the water. No collection. Just like get rid right away. So they were Jagai and Madai. Many of you already know the story. So they said that these people are like so fierce and they are troubling so many people. They are breaking all regulative principles. They are eating cow flesh. They are burning people's houses. And they are like troubling all the women. So they do everything possible that wrong can be done. Stealing, everything they're doing. And nobody can control them. So please stay away from them. As a preacher, Nityananda Prabhu's eyes like widen. He said, wow, these are people I want to go after. Because if I can change these people, then everybody else will follow. Right? Like Krishna also says, right? Whatever great people do, common men will follow. So if I make them great, everybody will believe in Lord Chaitanya's movement. We still do that, right? But we don't go after Jagai and Madai. We try to change influential people. We want to go to like the court houses, we want to go to like important places. That if like this, like if the Prime Minister of the country holds up our Bhagavad Gita, then it kind of validates that this is so important. We still do that, right? So Nityananda Prabhu had the same feeling. If I can change these two miscreants, life will be perfect. So he goes after them. And obviously, Haridas Thakur is also going along with them. So he says, hey, Hare Krishna, please take the name of Krishna. So they said, what are you talking about? He said, so he just doesn't let them. They get so mad, they start chasing Nityananda Prabhu. Every evening, Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur are running away from these two people. Right? And they're running and running and running. And Haridas Thakur is like cursing Nityananda Prabhu. He said, why am I hanging out with you? I got whipped in a marketplace. So many marketplaces, 22 markets. That was easier Now, in the hands of these people, I'm going to die a very brutal death. I don't want to hang out with you. Then they go back again and they are reporting back now. And the rest of them are all sitting there. And then Haridas Thakur says, this is a madman. He's complaining to Advaita Acharya. First, Nityananda Prabhu tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no problem, I'll send the chakra. Let's just finish them off. Nityananda says, no, we are born to not kill people. That is a role that Kalki Avatar is going to play. We are here to transform people. That is the Audarya. Okay, the mercy that Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda came with. They were not killing people. They were transforming people. They were killing the consciousness. So that is the difference in the mood of all other incarnations, all other ways that Krishna came to Vrindavan. Every day he was killing demons. Every day. That's why the residents of Vrindavan were so worried. Why is this happening to us? There's discussion between the cowherd boys and Nanda Maharaj, like, why is this all these demons coming to Krishna? Is there a problem that we should know? Then he said, no, Garga Muni came and told me that this is going to happen. So he'll be fine. But here there is no killing. There's no killing happening. So Nityananda Prabhu said, no, you cannot send chakra. I am going to keep trying. And I will talk to them and I will let them know. So he says, okay. Meanwhile, Haridas Thakur is like fed up. Okay, every day the same thing. This is multiple times they're meeting. Every day Nityananda Prabhu is chasing them. And then they're chasing them back to their houses. So Haridas Prabhu, he goes to Advaita Acharya and he says, I can't go with this madman. He said, yeah, one madman will accompany the other madman. You are also mad, that's why you go with him. Right? No, but they are drunk. He said, yes. Nityananda Prabhu is hanging out with them because he is also a drunkard. And Haridas Thakur is like, if he was in this stage, he says, really? Like, he would have said something like that. He said, bro, yeah, right. Right? He said, like, what do you mean drunk? He says, yes, he's drunk on the holy name. Those people are drunk on the liquor, but technically they're drunkards. So he's going with them. Right? So then he says, okay, it's okay. I understand your anguish, but remember, you do not understand the potency of Lord Nityananda. You just wait and watch. Just go with him. So again they go. Next day they're looking for them. They find the gully, the lane where these guys are hanging out. So they go there and again Nityananda Prabhu says, please take the name of Krishna, this, that. This Madai gets so fried. He says, I'm done with this person. He picks up, there is like a broken clay pot. He picks it up and throws it hits Nityananda Prabhu on his head. Now Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram himself. There's no blood and flesh and stuff like that. Okay? We see this many times. We were just talking about Bhishma. Right? Krishna manifests the same thing. When they send arrows, Bhishma is hitting arrows to Krishna. The arrows are hitting Krishna's body and creating like these marks. Krishna is like, as though getting hurt. Right? It's a barrage of arrows. But that is the mood of Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev is worshipping Krishna in Viryaras. So just as the gopis worship with flowers and Krishna accepts them, Bhishma is worshipping with arrows and Krishna accepts them. In the same mood. Okay? But Viryaras. Same but different again. So flowers from the gopis and arrows from Bhishma for Krishna is the same. Right? And then Krishna is manifesting this, like hair is like flowing, the hair looks white because of the dust. He's angry, his eyes are red, he picks up the wheel. But Krishna doesn't have anger. Because Krishna's body is not material. It's a spiritual form. But they manifest these things for us to, kind of understand and understand from our concept of anger and love and these things that we experience on ourselves. So we see this happening multiple times throughout Krishna's pastimes where Krishna or his associates may exhibit human-like reactions or human-like illness, like he said, blood is flowing through his head and is flowing all on his body. So he sees that. And who's getting stressed out now? I don't know. Arjun is finished. We are talking about Haridas Thakur. Yes, Arjun was also very stressed out. And Arjun says to Bhishma that now we are completely like doing Rasabhas, different stories. But he says, stop, Krishna, don't hit. Because that you promised that you're not going to pick up any tools, right? So that's a whole different story. But here, Haridas Thakur is like, okay, now he's bleeding. Now what? So Nityananda Prabhu is telling Madai, don't worry, I'm not hurt. Your blood is flowing. I am more hurt that you're rejecting Krishna. That is more painful to me than rejecting, hitting me. And so he says, he gets so mad, he picks up another bottle or clay pot, whatever it is. Meanwhile, this Jagai is getting he's saying, oh, this is not right? So he says, stop, he's an Avdut. He's trying to preach to us. Why are you hitting him? He's having blood and is flowing all over his clothes. Meanwhile, Haridas Thakur has ran away from there. He goes straight back to Lord Chaitanya, right? And this Jagai and Madai, while they are living in Navadvip, they sometimes go where these Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are having kirtan. And they hear kirtan and they dance because they are drunk, right? So they are not offensive to the holy name. They just don't know that this is the holy name. So they are subconsciously and consciously they are enjoying the holy name, they are dancing, but they are drunk, they don't understand. We see that in Sankirtan also, right? We see that sometimes just some random people will come and start dancing when you are having kirtan on the road. Really random, right? They may be drunk, they may be high on drugs, they may be not understanding our language, whatever it is. Same thing was happening there. So Jagai says, no, stop. Meanwhile, Haridas Thakur has gone. Haridas Thakur tells Lord Chaitanya, he's hurt. Lord Chaitanya gets so upset, he just gets up. The whole troop just comes to the place where Lord Nityananda is still telling him, please chant the name of Krishna. Whereas Jagai is telling Madai, please don't hit him again. So there's chaos happening there, right? Lord Chaitanya comes and what does he do? He sees Lord Nityananda, and when he sees blood, he just loses his mind. Immediately he raises his hand and what does he shout? Chakra, chakra. And the Sudarshan chakra arrives and just goes flying towards Jagai and Madai and just stops short of their, just around here and just revolving there. And Nityananda Prabhu is saying, no, we can't do this. We are not here to kill people. We have to transform people. And he says, please, this is all my karma. It is not his fault. He says, my karma that I got hurt and actually I didn't get hurt at all. And this Jagai, he actually saved me. He saved me because he was going to hit me again. And Jagai actually saved my life. So he's still trying to protect these people. And then Lord Chaitanya said, he saved you. I am so pleased with him. And he gives Jagai a hug. Because he served the devotee. As soon as Lord Chaitanya hugs Jagai, he gets transformed. All his sins get washed out. And you can visibly see that he has changed. And Madai hang on, what about me? Right? So he says to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what about me? He said, no, the Sudarshan chakra is still there. He says, you offended my devotee, I cannot forgive you. So Madai is okay, my brother is now all transformed and I'm stuck alone here with the chakra. What is going to happen to me? And he says, and then what should I be doing? He says, the only way for you to save yourself is to surrender to the devotee who you offended and beg his forgiveness. If he forgives you, the chakra can come back. Otherwise, you're a dandi. Okay? So then he's okay, so this is the guy that I just hit. Now I have to surrender to him. Otherwise, I'm going to die. But there is a transformation happening here. And so he begs forgiveness of Lord Nityananda, falls to his feet. And then Lord Nityananda is looking at Lord Chaitanya what am I supposed to do? He says, well, he offended you. If you want, you can save him. He tells Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu immediately gives a hug to Madai, and both of them that way are relieved of their sins. And then Lord Chaitanya invites them to go with them to have a bath in the Ganga. Then they invite them to come for the kirtan programs, which are only by invitation. Nobody can just walk into kirtan programs with Lord Chaitanya. And there are many stories about how uninvited people show up to the kirtan and the Lord gets very upset. Right? For example, who's Srivasa's mother-in-law shows up and hides somewhere. And so he stops the kirtan. He said, no, there is something wrong in this room. Somebody is here that should not be here. And then they find that who it was, right? So they get invited. Yeah. So he invites them to the kirtan. While the kirtan is going on, people realize that the color of Lord Chaitanya is changing. From the golden color that we know of, Lord Chaitanya is becoming darker and darker. And people start saying, you are taking on the color of Krishna. What is happening here? So he said, these are the sins that I am accepting from Jagai and Madai. It is changing my color. So all the sins as they are leaving Jagai and Madai, the Lord starts becoming darker in color. Okay? And then people start getting worried. So what are we going to do? He said, just keep chanting. And so they have like massive kirtan. Till the time Lord Chaitanya's color comes back to his munificent, golden, glowing form. Right? And that's how Jagai and Madai get transformed. Jagadananda and Madhavananda. Right? And so time goes on. And Yamaraj is very confused. Right? You may have heard that. They, like Chitragupta, right, is writing all the sins and making a list. And he says, what is happening here on the earthly planet? What about these two people? So he says, 10,000 people are writing how many sins they have performed. And now suddenly all their account is blank. We don't know where. So then Yamaraj looks down, and when he sees what is happening, he faints. He faints on his chariot. And so demigods have to come to revive Yam. He said, I don't know how this is happening. Like I'm out of business if Lord Chaitanya walks around and starts taking everybody's sins and they start disappearing. Right? So this is just to emphasize how much Lord Chaitanya is magnanimous. And no matter who you are and where you are and what you're doing, he is willing to, share the holy name. So that's the crux of the whole Nityananda pastime with Jagai and Madai. But Madai is still not happy because in his heart he knows that he harmed the Lord. So despite of everything working out, he still goes back and he says, no, I need to do something because I have created so much trouble for the residents of Navadvip and I personally injured you even though you forgave me. Please tell me what I can do. So he says, okay, I'll give you one service. I want you to build a ghat on the Ganga, on the bank of the Ganga, so that the residents of Navadvip can come and very easily approach the Ganges. And every time somebody comes, you can pay obeisances and beg for forgiveness. So that way you will have some resolution about what you have done in the past. So he accepts that service and he builds that ghat in Navadvip. So, and then that's the pastime of like Jagai and Madai. Obviously, they become like pure devotees and then they continue their service with Lord Chaitanya. Right? So, this is how Nityananda Prabhu spread the holy name across Navadvip and other places. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya gets and takes sannyas. Right? So, he takes sannyas and then he from Keshav Bharati at Khatwa, and then he tells Nityananda Prabhu, like, I am now a sannyasi, so I can hang out with like grahastas. I can't spend time with like specific types of people anymore. So I want you to change your ashram because he's avduta. He's like just like doing just preaching, and so he says, I want you to change your ashram and become a grahastha. And so at that point, Nityananda Prabhu changes his ashram, and he gets married to Janava and Vasudha, two daughters of a devotee called Suryadas. And then he settles down in a place for a long time. And after 30 years of leaving Ekachakra, he goes back. He goes back to Ekachakra, and he visits all his, and obviously, many people have already left, including his parents. And then he goes by the river, and that river is also called Yamuna. Ekachakra is in is in Bangladesh. It's very hard to go there, but that's where it is. And so he goes there and he finds a beautiful deity of Krishna called Bankim Rai with a flute. So he builds a temple, he installs Krishna there. This is in Ekachakra. And then a few days later, they find the most gorgeous Srimati Radha. And so they install this Radharani with Bankim Rai in that temple. That temple is still there. And then in the same temple, there is the deity the Murlidhar deity which was given to his mother, remember? That she could look into the face. That deity is also installed in that particular temple, and you can still see it. And then few years later, when all the pastimes kind of come to close, Lord Chaitanya enters into the deity of Tota Gopinath in Jagannath Puri. Meanwhile, Nityananda Prabhu is not there. So he hears that. And so he decides that it's time for him also to finish off his pastime. So he goes back to Ekachakra and enters the deity of this Bankim Rai that he has personally installed. And so that's how Lord Nityananda finishes his pastimes in this Bharatvarsha. And then Janava, who is his wife, she continues the movement. She has, she preaches a lot, travels. She even goes to Vrindavan and other places and continues the chain. And then Lord Nityananda's son also continues to preach and spread the glories of Lord Chaitanya's movement. So this is just in brief. There are so many other pastimes also which are related to the travel of Lord Chaitanya to South India and many other devotees' stories where Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are involved, but we can discuss them at another time. But this is just in brief how the Sankirtan movement began, how Nityananda Prabhu appeared, how he met Lord Chaitanya, how he waited for the Lord to personally instruct him to start the Sankirtan movement. And most importantly, to understand that as Nityananda Prabhu represents Balaram, he also represents Guru Tattva. So Guru is also an expansion of Nityananda Prabhu, right? And so he shows by example how to spread the holy name, how to be offenseless, and exhibits all the qualities that we see in exalted spiritual masters that we know of. So this was just a brief snapshot of the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Thank you very much. I'm happy if you have some time, I can take questions.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
First of all, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So yes, any question, reflection, feedback, something,
Feedback will be good.
anything? Anyone would like to share? Oh, there are two hands from.
Thank you, Mataji, for the beautiful lecture. During your lecture, you said that Kalki was supposed to kill Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was supposed to kill consciousness. What do you mean by that?
The movement of Krishna consciousness is a change of consciousness. In the previous times, the demons were killed, right? In the current times, the demons are transformed. But when the golden phase period of Lord Chaitanya's movement, which is the next 10,000 years, will finish, which Mukunda just calculated is 3% of the Kali Yuga. We were just calculating in the car. Correct. So after that, demons, Kalki Avatar, at the end of Kali Yuga, Kalki Avatar will appear. And there will be killing. Hopefully we won't be there. That's our goal. So that's what I meant. Like we are transformational movement. We we want people to continue to be where they are, continue to work, do their duties, but change their consciousness. That's what I meant.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for a wonderful narration of Nityananda Prabhu's pastimes and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. Uh, Whenever I hear pastimes of Krishna or Nityananda or Balaram, like one thing that is difficult to comprehend is when they leave their homes and their parents are like literally, big, very, I mean, just, get devastated
Yeah.
physically, right? And then it's just why Krishna does this to Krishna Balaram, very interesting things.
Yeah, that's another very esoteric concept in Lord Chaitanya's movement or Krishna's pastimes is to serve in Vipralamba, separation, because the feelings that you get from separation are so intense that devotees serve in that separation. And so we see that Vipralamba Bhav also exhibited a lot in the personal life of Lord Chaitanya also. That he's continuously missing Krishna. Although he is Krishna himself, he's showing how it is to be in Vipralamba Bhav. So this parental affection increases when the child is not there, and I'm sure you've experienced that a lot. Right? So we are, even in our material lives we experience it. What to speak of a child like Krishna and Balaram, right? Everybody misses them when they leave. And all the Brajvasis want, I wish Krishna was my child once. And he does that, right? He satisfies their, in which pastime? Yes, so that was the whole purpose of the pastime, that for 1 year, everybody's son was Krishna, including the cows, right? Including the cows. And he was taking service from their personal service, drinking as a calf, he's drinking the milk from every cow, right? And every mother is feeding him, every mother is bathing him, every father is. So Vipralamba is very powerful. I think sometimes, even as parents, the feeling of being with a child and a feeling of not being with a child, if you compare the intensity is more when the child is not there. You miss the parenting more in the absence of the child, not you. So that is Vipralamba Bhav, which is also very important in Lord Chaitanya. Like so many of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are related to this serving in separation.
Thank you.
You know the
Mataji.
story of the Shaligram, right? With Lord Chaitanya, he could not worship the Shaligram because he's continuously crying in separation. So he used to give the Shaligram to someone else to worship, because he says that I cannot keep that purity to do deity worship with Shaligram.
That's the highest level of,
Yeah.
bhav. Any other last question or anything before we move on? No. This was a very powerful class, Mataji. I really liked the part you said about we are here for transformation of consciousness. I think killing is easy to do, but transforming.
We are seeing a lot of it right now, right?
Yeah. So that was something personally a takeaway for me, and thank you so much for this class, Mataji, and for your time. Let's do one more.